Hey everybody, this is Luke with the Hybrid Network coming at you with our special video detailing some of the Easter eggs present within the new adaptation of Stephen King's It. Special warning, there will be spoilers ahead for the new film, so if you haven't seen it yet, go ahead and check it out and then come on back to see some of the hidden gems scattered throughout the film. For the rest of you, let's get started. So why don't we just get the big one out of the way? Yes, the turtle is in the movie, though not how you might have wanted. Throughout the course of the movie, several references are made to the large cosmic deity that aided the children in their battle against it within the original novel, appearing in plain sight in some of the children's happier and more innocent moments. In one scene in particular, the gang all heads down to the old watering hole for a dip, and during their afternoon in the sun, they make reference to a turtle. It's a blink and you'll miss it moment as it passed me by in my initial viewing of the film, but keep your eyes peeled. Probably one of the more obvious due to the fact that it was in the marketing material is a Lego turtle that Bill finds in Georgie's room. It's another clever nod to the being, and it accompanies the young boy during one of his weakest moments where he cries over the loss of his younger brother. Deep stuff. Going deeper into things, there's a few references made on some of the children's t-shirts. Eddie Kaspbrak's in particular, as in certain scenes it's depicting a hellish sports car with a monstrous visage, looking eerily similar to another Stephen King monster that, wow, mowed down high school kid. What is this guy's problem with children? Anyway, if you couldn't pick up on my thinly veiled allusions, this is a reference to the haunted 1978 Plymouth Fury, Christine, which appears in the book of the same name and has had numerous cameos in other Stephen King works, including a special scene within the pages of It, though I won't spoil that juicy tidbit. Speaking of inanimate objects mowing down kids, were we speaking on that? Anyway, we get to see a very familiar statue that had a frightening presence within the original book, but was sadly cut from the fun of this movie. As the losers go over their experiences at the 4th of July celebration, fans will notice the ominous and looming stature of Paul Bunyan in the background. Based on an actual statue in Bangor, Maine, this Goliath chased a young Richie Tozier down the streets before reappearing to the young boy as a regular statue once again, prompting him to wonder if it ever truly did move. This didn't end up making it into the film like I was initially hoping, and it robs us of a personal encounter with it in the film, but I think it more than makes up for it when we finally witness Richie seeing the murderous clown for himself. Speaking of Richie, let's stick with him for a moment, as that famous line is uttered in the movie. During the raid on the house at 29 Neibolt Street, Richie becomes separated from the rest of the group and enters a demented room filled to the brim with clown-like dolls and his very own coffin. It's a pretty tense scene, but once Pennywise actually does appear, he looks straight at the boy and whispers this line: "Beep beep, Richie." Now, while it might not make sense in context within the movie, the phrase actually comes from the initial book, where many of the losers would say it in order to tell their trash-mouthed friend that it was time to shut up. This phrase might have been a little out of place within the movie, considering the time period, but the fact that it's stated here acts as a nod to both fans of the novel and the 1990 miniseries. Plus, it's just pretty funny hearing it come from a sadistic clown. The film also has some further nods to the novel and some rare forms that Pennywise takes on. In the movie, a majority of the losers' fears have been altered to fit with a more contemporary and psychological angle on their deepest fears. It would probably be hard to come by any child still afraid of a werewolf or a mummy, or so you would think. In the final battle with Pennywise, when it takes on a myriad of forms to mess with the kids one final time, it appears to Ben not as a headless egg boy, but as a mummy, wrapping him in its bandages and attempting to bite his face off. Leave it to the bookworm to be scared of a monster that literally only walks. On top of that though, within the fight we actually get a hint at another form not taken by the clown, this time as a form of arachnid-like legs that he uses to try to stab the losers through at one point. Many fans of both the novel and the miniseries will either rejoice or groan at this reference, as in the original story, it appeared to the group as a large, pregnant spider at the climax. Whether this form will appear yet again in Chapter 2 remains to be seen, but it's a pretty cool nod nonetheless. Speaking on that, one more form that I thought was pretty noteworthy and didn't catch until the second viewing was that Pennywise's monstrous hand was almost exactly like that of a werewolf, which attacks the losers in the novel at the house on Neibolt Street 2 times. At first I simply thought it was a reference to the weird monster hand things that Pennywise had in the 1990 miniseries, but on a second viewing you can actually see patches of fur grow along his claws before the clown proceeds to slash open Ben's stomach and take his leave. There's just no doubt in my mind that this is some sort of compensation and a wink to the fans for excluding one of the more famous scenes from the book. Now, this next one is a sort of reference, I suppose, though I never really considered it all that much. When Patrick Hockstetter comes face to face with it and its terrible shape-shifting prowess, he pays witness to a balloon floating towards him with the words "I heart dairy" printed on it, before it pops and he's devoured. Now, this could be a sort of Easter egg to Adrian Mellon, the young man that was the first to die by it as the start of the news cycle in 1985. Adrian Mellon was a gay man that was harassed by a group of homophobic bypassers, being tossed over a bridge and then devoured by Pennywise. It's this account and several more that alerts Mike Hanlon to its presence and forces him to call the losers back to Derry, Maine. For any of you that are still unconvinced by the design of the new Pennywise, and if you are, what the hell is wrong with you, then just know that Tim Curry is not forgotten. In the clown room that Richie finds himself trapped in, there are several dolls that would send chills down anyone's spine, but one in particular stands out as it's modeled after Tim Curry's portrayal of the murderous entity from the 1990 miniseries. Nice touch, Muschietti. Nice touch. While the movie was initially going to delve more into Derry's past, the filmmakers decided against it and decided to focus more on the current feasting cycle of it. However, numerous references are made to past atrocities committed by the entity, including the fire at the Black Spot, the Bradley Gang shootout, the Derry Township disappearance, the Silver Dollar Saloon massacre, and the Ironworks explosion. The town just seems to wear all of its horrible, horrible past practically on its sleeve. While it's not confirmed at this point, interest has been raised by the production team to include some of these past events in Chapter 2 to further expand on the story of Derry and on it in general. But that's our video. Let us know about any Easter eggs we may have missed, and let us know what you all thought of the film down below. This is Luke with the Hybrid Network, and we'll catch you all next time.